agriculture productive, stable food supply, more affordable prices, helping combat climate change, sustainable management of natural resources. All of these are objectives of common agriculture policy of the European Union. In the aftermath of the devastation of the Second World War, Europe took decisive steps towards a peaceful and united future. To restore the social and the economic fabric, the six founding countries of what were then the European communities began discussions of a common approach to agriculture. The agricultural sector played a significant role in the post-war European economy. Thus, in the 1960s, the European Union was undergoing a period of economic growth. At that time, the countries of the European Economic Communities chose to charge custom duties on trade between them. They also agreed to jointly control food production so that everyone would now have enough to eat. In 1962, the European Union launched the Common Agricultural Policy, CAP, a partnership between agriculture and society and between Europe and its farmers, aimed to ensure a fair standard of living for farmers, ensure supply security, stability markets, establish a secure supply chain with responsible prices, harmonize competition rules across all countries.
To achieve these goals, an economic system of price and market support, the Common Agricultural Policy, CAP or CAP, was created. This mechanism provided farmers with a guaranteed price of their products, introduced common duties on external products, and anticipated state intervention in case of market price drops. Farmers began receiving support based on their total production levels. The CAP employs instruments such as direct subsidies to farmers, rural development programs, regulation of agricultural markets, and crisis management measures to achieve its objectives. Historically, the CAP included policies that encouraged farmers to increase agricultural productivity, partly throughout subsidies often tied to production quantities. The goal was to ensure Europe had a stable supply of affordable food. To better understand the impact of the CAP over the years, let's outline a chronological sequence of events. In 1970s, a few years after the creation of the CAP, food productivity and availability increased. However, farmers' incomes remained stagnant. As a result, the European Commissioner responsible for agriculture at the time, Sigmund Scholz, foresaw market imbalances resulting from overproduction and price support. He proposed a large-scale modernization of the agricultural sector in an attempt to improve farmers' living standards. This modernization aimed to optimize cultivated land and merge farmers to create larger units. In 1984, a quota system was established for certain products, such as milk, to limit overlap and manage supply. Each producer would receive a quota corresponding to the amount of food they were authorized to produce. Farmers exceeding the quota would be required to pay a fee. In 2000, the Agenda 2000 introduced a more holistic approach to agricultural and rural development with the goal of improving agricultural competitiveness, providing alternative sources of income in rural areas, and strengthening social cohesion in these areas. With the new millennium came new challenges for the CAP. It was expected not only to ensure a well-fed and prosperous society, but also to address new concerns such as climate change, animal welfare, food safety, and sustainable use of natural resources. More equitable distribution of support by limiting funds allocated to large farms, additional support for small farms throughout better income support targeting, and incentives for young people to pursue a career in agriculture. The 2013 reform sought to respond to these demands, including the following elements: greening of payments, making agricultural more sustainable.
Mal eu ouve. The reform led to an increased spend on rural development projects. This was the first time a CAP reform was carried out under the ordinary legislative procedure. Introduced by the Lisbon Treaty, meaning the Council and European Parliament acted as co-legislators on an equal footing. Finally, the most recent measure was the post-2020 CAP reform, which aimed to introduce a new strategic approach, giving a member states autonomy to develop strategic plans based on the needs and in line with EU overall objectives. This strategy is based on the principle that measures taken at the national level can be aligned with local specificities without compromising the common nature of the policy globally. In a context of growing public concern about climate change and environmental challenges, the new CAP placed a special emphasis on ecological requirements. As before, funding is contingent on compliance with EU environmental and climate legislation. Additionally, the reform introduces several rewards to encourage more ecological practices, both in terms of direct payments, with a new type of support for ecological measures, the ecological schemes, and in rural development. Moreover, small farms and young farmers are considered priority beneficiaries of direct payments. For the first time, the CAP also includes its commitment to protect workers' rights.
For example, when the European Union negotiates free trade agreements such as the European Union-Canada Free Trade Agreement or the post-Brexit Trade and Cooperation Agreement with the United Kingdom. Issues related to agriculture, such as quotas of agricultural imports and protection of designations of origin, are part of the negotiations and affect how the CAP is applied. Situational examples of CAP in the international scenario. The European Union often negotiates trade agreements with other countries and regions, and the CAP can be an important topic in discussions. The CAP can also be a point of contention in international trade disputes. Other countries may question European Union agricultural subsidies, claiming that they distort global competition. This can lead to disputes in the World Trade Organization and affect the European Union trade relations with other countries. The European Union signs bilateral agreements for agricultural cooperation with various countries. These agreements aim to promote the exchange of knowledge and best practice in agriculture and rural development, which may involve sharing experiences related to the CAP. The CAP also plays a role in international negotiations on climate change and biodiversity. The European Union seeks to align its agricultural policies with global environmental objectives, such as the Paris Agreement and biodiversity conservation targets, and the CAP plays a crucial role in these efforts.
In conclusion, can be said that CAP has survived since its inception at the expense of astronomical expenses paid by European consumers and taxpayers, but also by efficient producers in other countries, including Brazil.
The CAP has ardent supporters in the European Union, but its continuity, especially after enlargement, will depend on the ability of European leaders to continue convincing their taxpayers that this is the best way and that the goals justify such costly means. So far, despite all the threats, the CAP has been spared effective changes, and international rules sector have been more a consequence of the CAP than the other way around. Many observers assume that agricultural subsidies have largely been a result of organized lobbying by beneficiaries. On the other hand, some economists believe that support for the agriculture sector is relevant for its proper functioning.